Hi, welcome back. I'm Joe, and this is the Ultimate Love Letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. Fixed expectations. That's what we need to get into today. I recall a dream that I had, and this was actually a while back, and I knew that God needed us to record a message regarding the topic. Of course, he was speaking to me. And as he speaks to me, I know that there's others that need to hear from this. And I did attempt to record the recording. This was early on. Lost the recording. The sound wasn't great. And so I put it in our folder to get into at some point, and today it came back around. Fixed expectations. And the question God laid on my heart the day he gave me this message was, why are you laden to change? And I remember looking up the word laden and understanding that this is language that was used in the Bible. And what God was communicating was being attached to the expectations in our mind and being unable to be flexible with the outcome or how the outcome will come about. Why are we fixed in our expectations, rigid, unable to move, unwilling to waver? It's beautiful to have expectations. And contrary to what may think, some people say, have no expectations. And when you listen to their entire message, you understand that, yes, I understand what they're saying is have no expectations, but I believe a more clearer version should be flexible with the expectations. Be flexible. Yes, it's great to have dreams and goals, and we set goals because we want to achieve something. The expectation should be, I've asked for it in prayer. This is aligned with God. So I believe, so I feel, so God has guided. And now I'm going to allow God to bring it about in His way. I'm going to release how it comes about. I'm going to expect it though, because I've prayed over it, because this is of God's will, because God says His promises will always come about. So, yes, I expect it. Just like I take to a site and I order a package and I expect it to be delivered because I have ordered it, so do I expect that my prayers, expect that my dreams will come about. I wait in joyful anticipation for the release of God's promises. So, yes, we ought to expect what God says He has for us. We ought to expect the dreams that God has placed on our heart to come about. What we also ought to be doing is remaining flexible and open to how God will bring them about. And this is certainly me speaking to me because as I have dreams, I notice that sometimes I will cling to how I feel those dreams need to happen. So if I have dreams to travel the world, then I feel, okay, this means I'm traveling the world at this time of the year, and I'm going to take this amount of time off, and my man is going to come with me, and I'm going to be able to pause my clients, and I'm going to spend this amount of money, and I'm going to live in this city. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's take it back a second. The dream is to travel the world. I imagine God is saying, great, that is a dream I place on your heart to travel the world is good. The details, meaning when you're going to go, where you're going to go, who you're going to take with you, the amount of money you're going to spend, don't be fixed to those expectations. I imagine God is saying, I put the dream of travel in your heart. Now you allow me to tell you when, where, who, what you're going to spend, where you're going to live, how it's going to look. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Those dreams never look like they do in our mind. God, in my experience, is that God will bring adversity to bring about those dreams. And it is through the challenges, through the struggle, that He is building character to bring about the dream. And also, I feel like He's also seeing, how bad do you really want it? Can you go through the struggle with grace as He brings about the dream? Can you go through the adversity with, with patience, knowing that God is up to something, knowing that God is bringing about the dream? And yeah, in the middle of a storm, we don't understand that the dream is on the other side. But God has already told you He's going to give you the dream. So whatever comes, can you just float with it through grace, understanding that God is up to something? What I find is that when I come out of a big storm, on the other side is something I've asked for. And it is our willingness to go through it with grace, trusting God, releasing the expectations of how it's to come about. You just hold to the end goal. This is what I want. I'm going to share a testimony, something that happened just the other day. So I'm not tech savvy, but we needed to enhance our sound. I'm going to try to make this clear for us that don't understand equipment, but to get our sound on the podcast where it needed to be, I needed to purchase an interface and a cloud lifter to go with our newly enhanced Shure mic. If you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, this is a Shure mic. It is what all the top podcasters use, and God laid it on my heart to purchase one. So I do what God asked, so I purchased it. But you can't just purchase the mic. You need an interface, and I was being told you needed a cloud lifter to lift the sound. Anyway, anyone who has been listening, and thank you to those who have listened through the sound challenges over the last 6 or 7 weeks, it was us figuring out the sound with the new equipment, but I couldn't get it quite right. And as I spoke to several people, the mic people, the interface people, everyone tried to help, but the sound was still not where it needed to be. So finally, I just went into and had a consultation with a individual at Guitar Center, and he just starts unplugging things from the interface and from the laptop and from the program. And we learned that the cloud lifter that everyone said enhances your sound, that everyone said you needed with the interface, we learned that the problem was stemming from that, right? It was boosting my gain too much. The interface that I have was a new generation, so it actually was doing exactly what the cloud lifter was doing. Essentially, no need for the cloud lifter, right? So immediately I purchased both the pieces of equipment on Amazon. I took to Amazon and I went to process a return for the cloud lifter. We're talking like $270, right? And so I noticed that I was 10 days outside of the refund date. 10 days. So I spoke to someone and Amazon, and I explained the entire situation, and they said, "We apologize, we can't refund it. You're 10 days out." And I put up a fit. I'm not one to take no lightly, right? But I explained the challenge. I explained you guys recommended it. I didn't know. I only purchased this because you guys said I needed it. They were still like, no, but they said, please go back to the manufacturer. They could possibly help you. So I did just that. I called the cloud lifter people. I called Cloud. A beautiful gentleman answered immediately, and he said, you know what? I understand. It's true. The new interfaces with the Scarlett don't need a cloud lifter. However, he says, if you will allow me, I can work with your sound because there's a way to use the lifter with the new interface and you can still get the best sound. He says, or I can help you with a return. And I said, you know what? I'm game for even better sound. So let's go through the process. So a week of us, we went back and forth, he and I. I would record something with certain presets. I would send it to him. He would listen to it. He would come back and say, oh, select this, unselect that preset, do this, turn the dial to 2 p.m., yada, yada, yada. We went back and forth for a week. Finally, we got the sound with a chef's kiss. It was perfect. But when I recorded with the lifter and without, you could tell a slight difference. The interface without the lifter sounded almost as good as with the cloud. So then I had to decide, is the difference in sound worth nearly $300? And I had friends and family listen, and they all agreed that yes, the cloud lifter enhanced the sound. Someone said it's almost like a halo over your voice with the cloud lifter. But it was high quality sound without it. Everyone recommended return it, get your $300 back. They didn't feel like it was worth the difference. I will say, in my spirit, deep down, I felt like everyone was looking at just the value, like just the money part of it. But me, I'm doing God's work. So I want to sound the best. Like we deserve the best, right? God says you deserve the best. You deserve the best experiences. You deserve to stay in the best hotels. You deserve to live in the best home, to drive the best cars. You deserve the best of everything. So I just want the best. But I was swayed, by my listeners, my family, my friends who listen, to just get your money back. You're fine. It's not that big of a deal. So I went that route. And I emailed Cloud back and I said, thank you. Here's both sounds, the final product. I don't see a difference to be able to justify carrying a piece of equipment around as I travel, and the $300. I would like to pursue a refund now if that's still available. He takes 2 days to respond. And this is after us going back daily for a week. Now he takes 2 days. But he comes back and says, I see what you mean. Very slight difference in sound. I spoke to our refund manager and we are unable to issue a refund only for warranty replacement. So essentially he's saying, no, he can't refund me. I need to go back to Amazon. This is what he says. Amazon already told me no. So I'm like, okay, that's dead. I said, you know what? That's fine. I'll just sell the piece of equipment, on OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, and I'll just eat the loss on it. In that very moment, I had released it. I had wished the man well at Cloud. I just literally said, thank you for all that I learned, because I learned a lot about my program and the equipment I use. I wished him well, and I let it go. In that very moment of letting it go, God said, call Amazon. And I thought, but they said no. And then I heard it again, call Amazon. So I did just that. Called Amazon back, explained it to the beautiful woman on the other side of the phone, my whole spill of everything that happened. And she says, give me a few moments. And she's typing away. And then she comes back and says, good news. I have refunded you $272. You're going to see that back in about 7 days. And I said, oh my goodness, thank you so much. How do I return the cloud to you? And she says, no, keep it. I was floored. So now I'm thinking, of course, not only do I get this chunk of money back, not only did I get an entire lesson in how to use my equipment and the cloud lifter and my program, Adobe, but then I get to keep the equipment that actually enhances the sound um, to the highest quality. That is what God does when we release expectations to Him. Yes, I had the expectations of having the best sound, and God used an adversity to get it to me and get it to me as a gift, free. Had I think about it, like had I just quickly, had I been able to return it to Amazon if I called 10 days sooner, I would have been able to return it. The the equipment would have went back. Yeah, I would have had my money, but I wouldn't have learned all that I did with learning to use my program and equipment. My sound would have been good, but it would not have been the highest quality. So God used an adversity and a detour to make sure I learned all I needed to about sound and the program and the equipment. And God used the challenge to enhance my character, to ensure that I was sharpened and I was going through the challenge, the discomfort of the challenge with grace. And I was releasing it to Him. I learned to release deeper to Him, whatever the outcome would be. And at the end of it, God said, here is your reward, more knowledge. Yes, the money is back, and you get to keep the equipment for free, enhancing your sound. It was a triple blessing that came down in a matter of moments. And it only took 1 week of trusting God with the expectations. That is what God does when we release the expectations, when we release the adversities in grace, when we, yes, expect what God promises, but releases the how it will come about. That is what God does. And you see how He used an adversity, a challenge, right? Like it often looks like that. I think about my parents. My parents have dreamed for like 20 years to have the kitchen remodeled. They talked about it, they dreamt about it, they looked at how much it would cost, and it just continued to be a dream. In 2020, and I mean February 2020, right before the pandemic, my dad was making something on the stove and smoke detectors were not on, and he was in another room and there was an oil fire in the kitchen. Thank God he was able to get it under control, but the smoke damage completely, the insurance company ruled they needed to redo the entire kitchen. So, yes, it was an uncomfortable time. It was in the middle of COVID. They had to temporarily move out of their home for like a month as repairs were underway, as they gutted out the damage in the walls and everything. But even through the challenge of that, God still had them supported. They were able to rent a home, they were taken care of. It was uncomfortable, but they went through it with grace. And at the end of it, they got the kitchen that they dreamt about having for like 20 years. Yes, the dream didn't come about the way they looked, like the way they thought about it in their minds, but it came about in a way where God was able to use the challenge to bring forth the dream. And also, He built character and patience. And the biggest thing is this: God wants us to have deep dependence on Him. Like that's built in our DNA. He wants us to depend deeply on Him. So when challenges come, perhaps we can look at it a different way. God is using this adversity to deepen my dependence on Him, that perhaps will bring about exactly what I'm asking for. Because in my opinion, that is how God works in my life, and I see it in the lives of others. So can we go through the challenges with grace? Can we not be fooled by what looks like a problem and just trust that God is using the problem to bring about the dream? If we can do that, it is my expectations that the dream will be standing on the other side of that. Because that is how God works every time. Can we release the details? Be flexible. Yes, expect it, but not have fixed expectations. I know I want this. I release the how to you. God always bring forth his promises. That's all we need to know. That's what we need to be fixed on. God, you are great, and you always bear fruit in my life. I'm going to stay right there, knowing that no matter what comes, no matter what happens, you are using it to bring about that fruit. Once you know that, the game becomes clear. You know how to play. You can just relax in the waves. Keep your eyes on God. Thank you so much for joining this convo. If you know anyone who needs to be encouraged on releasing the details to God, please consider sharing this. Thank you for following the show. We have somehow surpassed the amount of followers on Spotify to the amount of listeners, if that makes sense. And I am tremendously grateful. Thank you to those that tune in week over week. Thank you to those who have found us on YouTube and subscribed it. Please click that subscribe button. And thank you for your 5-star reviews. We're up to 11 5-star reviews. It's crazy. Thank you so much. That makes our show, our platform, more reachable. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.